What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I'm your hostess, doing the mostest, Kivon, and we are here with Found Season 2, Episode 7, Missing While Hated. Now, I have a public service announcement for all you Margaret fans, all you Margaret stans, and all you Margaret shooters. I'm going to take you deep into my shallow bosom when I say this. Margaret does not deserve kindness from Gabrielle Mosley anymore. Now, shh. I know. You're like, Kivon, but everybody deserves kindness. No. I want you to understand that there's nary a word that you can say in my comments, on Twitter, on this video, on Spotify, on Instagram, nothing that will convince me to ever be on her side, okay? Okay, now let me rub your back a little bit, let me soothe you, but I want you to understand, y'all do not have a fan in me, okay? Okay. Missing While Hated, first and foremost, the Found writers, y'all are hilarious. This cold open came on and I said, oh girl, like out loud, y'all are insane. But a little bit differently than the cold open that we got earlier in the season, this one was like already, like you already knew, like, okay, obviously this is not real. But they used this cold open to frame the state of mind that Gabi is in the entire episode. And basically it's her pondering the events from last episode where he hopped on live with that girl and he saved her. And so she's worried that this man who tormented her, kidnapped Lacey twice, is now going to be hailed as this hero. And so we see that when she wakes up, obviously, that it was a dream. Now she wakes up and Christian is there. Seems like they were working and gathering some information all night, and Dhan walks in and he's upset. He does not trust Christian at all. I can't even talk. Trust Christian at all. And something I don't think I noticed anywhere else in the season until now is when Christian started talking, I was like, he sounds a lot like Sir. And I had to run back the episode where Sir was in his hotel room and listen to them talk with each other. I don't know if the actors themselves just sound similar, but if their regular speaking voices don't sound the same, this speaks to the actors kind of working with each other and working together so that they sound the same, so they can feel more like they're related to each other. If you don't have siblings, you probably won't understand this. Or maybe if you're friends with people who have siblings, you might understand. But a lot of siblings talk alike, sound alike. The way that they stream words together are the same. And so it was in this moment where he's talking to her, I was just like, okay. I can kind of see, like, not only is Dhan like super worried because it's Sir's brother, but again, just even me listening to them, I'm just like, okay, I'm finally like seeing connection in them that I didn't see when Christian first popped up. So this episode, we are looking for someone who may be the victim of a hate crime. And it's a non-binary individual who, it appears just through his fanatical journalism that they created a lot of enemies along the way. However, they ended up stumbling into this story that may be the root cause of them getting kidnapped in the first place. So M&A is investigating it. They're investigating it from their partner, who started this business together, but they're also looking at other areas too, because something in the milk ain't clean in this case is not looking as open and shut as it seems to be. Is it a hate crime? Is it a little bit more? We don't know. But while we're trying to figure this out, okay, we got somebody from Gabi's past getting on TV, clout chasing, like, he was always favoring her, like, yeah, he paid attention to the other students, but he always paid attention to her like a little bit more I'm not trying to victim shame, but I just think that maybe there's more to the relationship that she's letting on. So she is dealing with this on top of today being the anniversary of her mother's death. Zeke acknowledges this, and he has a little one-on-one with her, and he's like, girl, we need you. Like, I know we were upset with you, but we need you. You think I hate you, but I'm also coming to you for help. Like, you're not in jail yet. We need to stick together. We need to build our camaraderie as a team again. And I mentioned this in previous episodes where them finally like exploding and getting everything out, and Lacey pretty much telling them like, y'all need to stop smelling yourselves. I said that that would be the start of them finally piecing their lives back together as a team. And we see that through Zeke like being the next person next to Lacey, who was hurt by Gabi's betrayal, letting her know like, we need you and we can get through this together. So that is the pick me up that Gabi needs, and we're finally seeing an extension of love outside of Lacey, who basically is her sister. When her dad was like deep into his alcoholism and could not be there for her or anything like that, she stayed with Lacey and Lacey's mom, and she finished raising her. Like, that is their family. So of course it's automatic that Lacey would have that relationship with her, but we're finally seeing other people who aren't related to her still acknowledge the pain and the anniversaries, important dates that she sees in her life or that she experiences, and is soft and creates a space for her to walk in and be vulnerable if she chooses to do so. Now, also in this episode, you already know, like, Gabi has to consort with the police every time, you know, report somebody missing, things of that nature. And we see Trent a little bit differently. I'm never going to see it for him, and I do think that there is slight ulterior motive, but I do believe that the kindness that he bestowed upon Gabi in this episode is guilt-ridden. He can't turn back the clock on starting this investigation against her and Dhan, but you can definitely tell very clearly in this episode that he feels bad about it. So he's cooperating a little more, and you see them kind of get back into that old routine, but she knows what's up, and she constantly, you know, is like, well, why are you being nice? Well, why are you telling me this? And why are you doing that? He's like, Gabi, look, I just want you to know, like, I'm not the enemy here. But I believe that it's very important for her to protect herself, because he still is launching an investigation against her. And at this point, if you're not working for M&A, I'm not even about to let you in, because the shoe can fall, and what you're presenting me and this kindness and everything like that could end up blowing up in my face, and now I'm gonna feel stupid for trusting you again. So she is kind and she is receiving his kindness, but it's definitely, she's treading lightly. Okay, so she goes and does her press conference as she usually does, and the press play right into Sir's hand. One thing about women that be getting on my nerves is when women take opportunities to victim blame or poke holes in victims' stories. So there were two ladies who ended up bringing up Sir's Instagram live and basically talking about, were you wrong about him? And then this one lady was black, talking about, so why don't you tell us what was the particulars and what was all these things? Now, it wasn't even necessarily what they asked. I'm sure their company was like, ask her about this now that you got her in the spotlight. But it was how they asked. And for me, the how and the tone are very indicative of people's motives and their intentions behind a question. And those two ladies, especially being women in particular, pissed me off, because y'all are sitting here framing this question as if she framed Sir to be some awful person when really he's good, when this Negro just kidnapped somebody 2 weeks ago. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? And Gabi's like, okay, if y'all want me to answer this question, go ahead and tweet about the guy that is missing right now. We know you don't like him being a fanatical journalist and he make y'all look bad, but what you're gonna do is support him and get the word out so I can do my job, and then I will entertain your questions. So they're doing it and everything like that, and she tells them, y'all are literally playing into his hands. Be very careful in turning a monster into a hero, because the moment you idolize him, you leave the door open for him to victimize you and other people. And we've already seen this. The biggest one of all is Ted Bundy. He's too fine to be kidnapping women. He's too fine to be killing women. Kidnap me next, Ted, because y'all sat up here and you're looking at this clean-cut image. You're looking at somebody who's able to articulate. You're looking at somebody who is educated. And then instead of looking at the facts of what they did, even if they did one or two things, instead of looking at the nature of the crime that they committed, you let a handsome face and some cute words make you question the victims. Fuck out of here. Anyway, I digress. We're going through the episode, and y'all already know how these episodes end. We're gonna find the person. Like, we're gonna find them. We're literally finding everybody except Margaret's son, but we're gonna get back to this. We end up finding out that the congressman has been out here sexually assaulting a bunch of people. So the person who was kidnapped was uncovering the story, and he had a star witness to help break this story open. But the star witness ended up getting cold feet and was trying to just get all of Raj's information, but ended up harming Raj in the process. And so the witness, Wayne, panicked and ended up keeping Raj hidden. Ultimately, he apologized and he's getting arrested, of course, but he tells Raj, you know what? It's never too late to do the right thing. Go ahead and publish the story. Like, I was just afraid to get my story out there. I didn't want anybody to think a certain thing of me. Again, victim blaming, victim shaming, especially LGBT community, which is what this whole case was surrounding. And the story ended up coming out, and the congressman was arrested. Now, other things that were happening in this episode. Y'all know Gabi's been saying, I need Sir, we need him, we need him. Well, when this case came, we're getting a little bit more interaction between Sir and his accomplice, but we never see the accomplice's face. But the accomplice got this file really quickly. Now, I said in a previous episode, I don't think the person who's helping Sir is related to Sir, but there was a hit on some gum during this episode that Trent found, and it has a familial match. I still am going to stick with it is not Christian and it is not Lena. Now, could it be another family member that we don't know about? Absolutely. Could Sir have a child? Who knows? But something is telling me it is not Christian and it is not Lena. It's so easy. That just seems the easy route. Anyway, Sir gets this document from the person who's assisting him, and he emails Zeke underneath a dead man's name. So Zeke is getting ready to text Gabi, like, you know, honestly, I think he was just letting her know, like, hey, Sir reached out. But he knows what day it is for Gabi, and as her friend, first and foremost, he's not going to do that to her. So he deletes the email. And so we finally get an episode where they're putting all of their thoughts together. Even Lacey's memories is coming back from her applying her law degree and the way that criminology works to the case. They were able to solve this case without Sir, and that is huge. And the fact that Zeke didn't even tell Gabi, it allows her the space to realize that not once during this entire case was there an interference from Sir. So to me, I felt like keeping that information from her specifically, he told Lacey, of course, they live together, but keeping that information from Gabi, I think will be the foundation. I think if he would have told her, it kind of would have still took her off kilter a little bit and probably would have made her kind of go after him with a little bit more vengeance, which would have made her reckless. Like, look, I don't need you. I can do this stuff without you. Let me hurry up and bring you down. And she was able to just focus on what Zeke said. You're not in jail yet. We still need you. We need all of us to bring these victims home. So let's do it. And she was able to be in her own space. Another thing that we saw in this episode was not only young Gabi finally not being that positive person, not being that optimistic person, but even the current Gabi losing her shit. After that press conference, Sir got his ass on live. Like, who taught him how to do this? And something tells me, like, Sir is not, like, the most technical. And so every time I see him on the phone, I'm just like, who taught you how to get on, like, live? And he's like, I'm not gonna let y'all demonize our relationship. I was her teacher. She was my student. She is brilliant. She was brilliant, will always be brilliant. She is an amazing woman. And I'm not gonna let y'all do this to her. If you want the smoke, come find me. But you finna leave my boo alone. Okay, Gabrielle is better than all you hoes. And she just screams. Finally, she's allowing herself to have emotion, especially on one of the hardest days of her life. This day sucks. But in the midst of it all, what does Gabi do? Gabi is there for victims, and she is also there for her friends, more specifically, Margaret. Margaret is permanently banned from this bus station. But Zeke and Gabi created this space in the room with all the items that she takes to the bus station, gave her a little area, and Zeke streamed the live feed from the bus station for her. So Margaret's, she's super grateful. And she wasn't that really, she really wasn't that mean with Gabi this episode. We didn't get a lot of, oh, I can't see visions without you. They were working pretty well together, even though she was still pestering Trent about getting the restraining order lifted. Well, y'all know Zeke hacked into the police department's information. And they found out about it. And so they shut all that shit down. So Trent goes over. They're taking all of Zeke's equipment, all types of things. And he is panicking because this is his only connection to the outside world. Now, there was a phone on the ground during this commotion where Zeke was trying to fight Trent. And Trent was like, listen, bro, I literally convinced them to keep you here because you would be in jail. But I'm trying to keep you safe. I am your friend. And Lacey saw this phone sitting on the ground. And so she hurried up and grabbed it. I watched this scene multiple times. I wasn't sure if it was Trent's phone that fell or if Zeke's phone fell and she was trying to keep it from being confiscated by the police. I think it was Zeke's phone. I think I just kept blinking at the wrong time, but I think during the scuffle it was Zeke's phone that fell, and so she grabbed it and kept it so that they couldn't get it during this whole thing. And she's like, look, be quiet, your daddy is a lawyer, everything is gonna be okay. Now, not only did they cut off all his stuff at his house, that means the feed was cut back at M&A, and Margaret is freaking out. Gabi comes in, she's like, girl, it's what is happening, what is going on? And Margaret asks her, why can't you find my child? You can find everybody else, but not my son. This is why I'm done with Margaret. I don't care. There's not enough that she can go through the rest of the seasons that will make me carve out space for her any longer. Y'all are a team effort, and yet you're putting the onus of your son's disappearance on her when you were the one, ma'am, in these flashbacks who told him to get out your face because you wanted to do a crossword puzzle. You told your son to go to a different part of the bus station out of your line of sight. Girl, he wasn't even in your peripheral vision. But it's Gabi's fault. So she having a breakdown, and Gabi just hugs her and does all these other things. And I said, no, fuck that. Let her go. Let her fall into the pit of her own despair, because how dare you? How dare you? Then on top, everybody at M&A know what day this is for Gabi. Lacey and her mom got her a sweet potato pie because that was the tradition. Her mom made her favorite sweet potato pies. She thinks her mom's sweet potato pies are the best in the world. She makes them annually on the mother's death. And so they drop it off. Dhan out here threatening to put bullets in people's head for Gabi, like he knows. But you're so self-absorbed that you can't even acknowledge the pain of your leader. As if pain, loss, and grief is somehow yours and yours alone. And then you wield it as a weapon against the one person who shouldn't be kind to you at all. I cannot, I will not, won't not, shall not ever be Team Margaret. I'm sorry, it is what it is. The found writers are doing all that they can to keep me off of her side. It's it. I'm done. But what I really loved about this episode is finally Gabi is going off. I'm getting so tired of black women keeping their trauma inside, keeping their pain inside, being there and healing others when other people refuse to be there and heal us as well. So overall, I really loved this episode. It was a breakthrough episode for sure for Gabi. It was a breakthrough episode for the team with not using Sir and going back to what they were doing way before she ever kidnapped Sir when she was triggered by her father's death. And it seems like we're finally getting a little bit of normalcy in there, even with the fact that there's an investigation pending against Dhan and Gabi and now also Zeke. So there's that. Found season 2, episode 7, Missing While Hated. What an episode. Honestly and truly, I don't know, I really love this episode. I don't want to be like, this is my favorite episode so far, but this was a really good episode for black women who are constantly told to just smile and put on a brave face and be strong because you are black girl magic. This was an episode that seemed like it was an ode and a love letter to the strong black woman, and I really appreciated that. And I also loved that the team is putting themselves back together and finding grace and finding forgiveness, because I'm like, we can't go all these episodes with this shit. Like, I can't do the same old song over and over while having Gabi written as this savior and having the people that's supposed to love her around her continue to vilify her. So I'm super glad that we're finally seeing a transition and getting to the other side, because she's going to need them and they're going to need her. Now, what are my predictions? Again, the biggest one, I think that Sir's accomplice is somebody, his earlier kidnapped victim who's suffering from some real severe Stockholm syndrome. A family member we don't know about. I don't think it's Lena. I don't think it's Christian. Other predictions. I feel like Zeke is going to get out of this situation. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But I feel like Zeke is going to get out of this situation. Now, I do think this situation may be the thing that Trent needs to finally start realizing that life is not as black and white as he wants it to be. All these other things that's been happening all season, and he's been, no, the law and justice and rah, rah, rah. But he really loves Zeke. Him and Dhan will kill him. If Gabi said, do it right now, Dhan putting a bullet in Trent. Easy. Easy. Ain't never liked him. Okay? Like, Trent, you're not getting past her brother. But Trent loves Zeke. And I think that this might be the thing that kind of puts Trent in a morally compromising situation. I think that Trent would go against all that he knows in every fiber of his being to make sure that Zeke stays out of jail. Mainly because Zeke's trauma is very much out in the open. The man can't even step outside the threshold of his house. And that hits Trent every time he witnesses it. So, yeah, I do think that the Zeke potential arrest situation could be the thing. I think by the end of the season, we might see Gabi get arrested and maybe open up season 3 with her being acquitted. I don't think that they will find her guilty without a reasonable doubt. But I do feel she might get arrested. Now, that is ways away, episode 22. What do I think about the mid-season finale, which is coming up in 2 episodes, I believe? It's either not 2 episodes. It's episode 10 or 11, I think, is going to be the mid-season finale. I think Sir might come out of hiding for real. I think him getting on live is him soft launching himself as a normal everyday citizen, and I do believe that he might get the Ted Bundy treatment. I feel like in his future he might be on like the morning show or some shit. The public is really buying into this, and the fact that he got this girl on his side to say all these kind things, and the fact that, well, he didn't really physically harm Gabi when she was kidnapped. He didn't do anything to Lacey. Well, they just fought, you know, those were just, you know, defensive wounds, but you know, he might be nice. I think that I see this coming. I see it coming. I could be wrong about all of it, but I see it coming. But those are like some of the biggest predictions that were in my mind as I watched this episode. But y'all comment and you tell me what you think. If you disagree, do it respectfully, because I would love to know y'all's thoughts and y'all's opinions. And with that, as always, like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave comments in the comments box below. If you have family members or friends or people in your life who only like to listen to audio because they don't have time to be watching YouTube, go ahead and share my podcast page from Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. You can also find other information about other TV shows and things that I'm covering, things that are coming up on my Instagram at So There's That Podcast. And you can always find me talking mess on the timeline at Kivonshi on Twitter. And that's going to wrap up today's episode. I will catch y'all in the next one.